Words, 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 Hamlet famously remarked. But where do they come from? How did we go from thou and yonder to yo and no cap? Join us on this whirlwind tour of how words were born, borrowed, and bent over time. A celebration of language in all its wild and wonderful glory. Our panel for today, he is a creative powerhouse, ad man, writer, actor, and the wit behind the English nut, where he serves up the quirks and charms of the English language with flair and humor. Former chairman and chief creative officer of 82.5 Communications Ogilvy Group, he's the mind behind campaigns for Dove, Axis Bank, Pro Kabaddi, and Maharashtra Tourism. The man with more Cannes Lions than most of us have school participation certificates. Please welcome on stage Sumanto Chattopadhyay. And joining him, a man who insists once upon a time, before all of this, he had a real job. Since then, he's been hailed as India's most intelligent comedian by the New York Times. His shows, The Nation Wants to Know and Empire, have sold out all across the globe. A successful screenwriter and playwright as well, with credits such as Lions of Punjab, The President is Coming, and the play Chaos Theory to his name. Please put your hands together for the man who can make just about anybody ruffle, Anuvab Pal. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Welcome to the Shashi Tharoor session.
I've been told that there are a lot of irate people who couldn't get into Tharoor's session, so they decided to come to Garibon Ka Tharoor session. But welcome to all of you anyway.
They said it's about language. This is about language. Yes. The foreword is by Shashi Tharoor.
Yes.
You've done a YouTube video with Tharoor, which is your most viral language video. So, you're getting 25% of your money. I think it's a fair point. Rather than those boring introductions of what a book is about, we decided, Sumanto, that we would get straight into it, right? This is a book about words and phrases. So we're not going to get into what inspired you when you were 5 years old.
Whether not how disappointing.
How much Plato you've read. We're just going to directly get into what this book is about, ask the audience who are far smarter than we are, and then if they know more than we give some books away. That's how we're starting.
Good idea.
Yeah. Don't spread the word outside. Don't do this at Vikram Seth session, because the people are going to get quite upset. Now, Sumanto, your book is about the origins of words and phrases. I've been told that this is a very clever city, made of very educated people. I've seen no evidence. But in the last 20 years, I've constantly been told that's the case. Let us see if that is the case. Can anyone tell us where the word, and there are some people here who can take the mic around, I think. Just raise your hands if you know. And if he's the judge. This is completely nepotistic. It's his book. He knows the origin of words and phrases. So if you're right, and he thinks you're right, it could be completely wrong. He just has to like the answer. It has to be an interesting answer, and he's going to give one of his books away. Very precious, very people are taking them away from us.
Yeah, one of the books that I brought to give away as a prize has already been taken by Anuvab, because the book that I gave him, somebody else took it from him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. That's just theft is going on at this Lit Fest. One fell swoop. Does anyone know where one fell swoop comes from? What is the origin of one fell swoop? You can guess anything, really. Because what's the worst that'll happen? You won't get a book you never had.
Outside the bar. That's what she's saying.
1 second. We'll get you a mic, ma'am. Sumanto, have a think.
Outside the bar. Okay.
Sorry, outside the bar is your answer. That one fell swoop came from outside. Would you explain a little more what you mean? Outside, I didn't get it.
I think we need to move on to another question.
Okay, there's somebody else. We have somebody else who wants to try. We've got...
How about the guillotine from the French
One fell
Oh,
swoop.
you're asking us questions in return.
I'm sorry, I'm Jewish.
No, no, no.
That's what
No,
we
that
do.
is the answer. No, but that's also an answer. She's saying, is
Okay.
the origin of one fell swoop
Yeah, the guillotine during the French Revolution.
So one fell
Oh,
swoop,
that's
is that where it
I
comes
thought
from?
you were asking me
No.
what. No, so it's no, that's not.
That's not the
it's-
answer. Okay, anybody else wants to try? This is a very tough judge, huh? Ma'am, back to you.
Oh, we can hear you clearly. Yeah.
Beheading again, okay. So guillotine, beheading, one fell swoop. A lot of beheading
That's
examples.
the closest that we've come so far.
Will you explain a little more on?
No. So it's a quote from Shakespeare basically, and it is about this one character's entire family. He goes home and finds that his entire family has been killed at one fell swoop. And one fell swoop basically is because like birds of like hawks, they swoop down and they grab their prey. So that's what it was because all his entire family, he says the dam and my chickens, that's how he refers. Dam is like a mother bird, and chickens, they're all gone at one fell swoop. This is from Macbeth.
Right. So not guillotine
It's not guillotine.
and not beheading.
Yeah, so I mean,
Ma'am
I
is
said
very
that's,
upset.
that's the closest it came because yes, I don't know if they were killed by beheading or not, but yes, it's about killing. But it actually meant they were all killed at one go. And today, at one fell swoop can be used in, it doesn't have to be about killing. You can say that he ate all the cookies at one fell swoop, so it can be something harmless as well.
Yeah. Doesn't
So I'm
involve-
not giving any books for this one. Shall I ask another one?
It's a cruel author here.
Yeah.
So because you said beheading and they were not related to birds coming down in one fell swoop,
Yeah.
no one deserves to be a winner. This is the worst quiz I've ever been in. Cold shoulder. Yes, we've got a yes, very confident yeah here. The origins of cold shoulder. One ma'am, one back. Can we, if you've got a loud enough voice, raise your hands, we'll just point at you. Would you like to go first? Yes. The origin, what is it? Is allowed, Quizmaster?
That's like 50%. I'll have to tear the book in half and give it to you if you answer that.
Wow.
But what does it mean? You can tell us that.
Ignore.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
But you want to know the
No,
origin.
but I think somebody there has the answer.
Yeah, the origin
I'm
of the
I'm
word.
not quite sure of this, but I think it is regarding the cut of meat that's being served, and then the shoulder side of the meat is not considered to be good, and that's being served to the people you don't really like. Something like that.
Well,
what
I mean,
heard.
that's a good answer in the sense that, there's a concept called folk etymology, which is basically people make up, these email forwards that used to go around before social media became a thing. So people would, there was one particular email called Life in the 1500s, which I've mentioned a couple of times in my book because a lot of what we think as true etymology there's some mischievous character made things up and they said, yeah, like because the guests of honor would get prime cuts of meat and then the guests that you didn't like would get the cold shoulder, but that's not true, by the way.
Okay.
So
But good attempt, though.
It was a
It's-
very good attempt, but
Yeah.
not worth a book.
No.
So,
And you are the third person who's brought up murder in this.
so cold shoulder, giving somebody the cold shoulder literally means looking down your shoulder at somebody. And it's originally from a Scottish phrase. You must be familiar with the author, some of you at least, Walter Scott, Sir Walter Scott. So Sir Walter Scott was actually Scottish, so he introduced many Scottish phrases into English. So initially, in fact, it was spelled very differently, C-A-U-L-D, and shoulder was with T-H-E-R instead of D-E-R, but basically that's what it meant. It was always about looking askance at somebody like this, over your shoulder. Like how we say looking down your nose at somebody, a little bit like that. So that's the origin.
We should bring it back. I think it'd be a very good way to talk to people.
Okay, yeah, can I do I don't know if it's easier, but can I ask one?
Of course.
Okay, so teddy bear. Do you like teddy bears? Okay, that's the guy with the fake. No, I'm going to ask this gentleman first.
It comes from Theodore Roosevelt because he had saved a cute bear from getting killed. And then it was called the Theodore bear and teddy bear.
Exactly.
First book?
There was a lady here also who gave the same answer, though she didn't raise her hand. She just like blurted out the answer.
So we'll give her the cold shoulder. We'll give her that. And we'll give
Okay,
that
now,
gentleman the book.
can you tell me from why if it's from Theodore, why is it called teddy bear? Yeah. So since I have to know, as the author, I have to know a little bit more than you guys, so let me also give my gyan. So yes, it was, and as he said, by the way, do you know who was the youngest president of the United States ever? It was Teddy Roosevelt. At 42, he became the president of the US sometime around 1901. And soon after he became president, he was invited to a hunt. And all the other people at the hunt killed their bears, and he couldn't kill one. So one of his chamchas thought that, to curry favor with him, curry favor is another phrase, but to curry favor with him, that they actually injured a bear, an American black bear, tied it to a tree, and they told him, shoot it. So he said, no, this is ridiculous. Please release this bear. And that made the news. It became like big news in the United States. A very famous Pulitzer-winning cartoonist drew a cartoon of this bear being basically a bear being lassoed by somebody, and President Roosevelt giving the cold shoulder to that person. So yeah, and then from that cartoon it spread. There was these couple who had a toy shop, and they made a stuffed bear and they called it Teddy's bear. And then it was popular, so they used to hand make these, and every time they made them, people bought them. So they actually started a toy company, took the president's permission, and started making Teddy's bears, which eventually became teddy bears.
Great.
Yeah.
But he does deserve a book, right?
Yeah, he does deserve a book.
But we've got a book for you. This is the thing.
I'm really sorry.
Now, we've got some more to give away at the end where we'll do more of this quiz.
Yeah.
But we should ask you some questions, given we've started a quiz.
I know it's like this is a very strange session,
Yeah.
Anuvab. Instead of asking me questions, you've
Not
been
just
asking
that,
the audience
90%
questions.
of them came to listen to the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of India. Now they've got a session on things and they've been quizzed. So their heads are exploding.
Either that or Shashi Tharoor, and I don't know the kind of long words that he does, by the way.
And there is an uncle gentleman who's correcting us as well.
He's saying not, because he came because he genuinely wanted to hear one of us or both of us.
Exactly,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. He's the red herring, which we'll get into. Sumanto, what got you interested in this world of books and words and their origins? I mean, we're both Bengalis, and it's part of our DNA to be like this.
Yes.
Because no one would play with us.
Yeah.
And because we have empire left over much longer than it needs to be, us and the Parsis. But other than that, why would you get into this?
Yeah, so I did have a curiosity about language from a very young age. One reason being that, like you said, Bengali. So we had, I lived in one of those old bungalows. By the way, the word bungalow comes from the word Bangla. And so I lived in an old bungalow, and we actually had one of the biggest room in the house was called the library ghar. And ghar in Bengali, unlike ghar in Hindi, means room and not house. So we had this room which was floor to ceiling books. So, and we were encouraged to read, and for us, birthday gifts only meant books. So, yeah. So, and I remember I used to actually have to get up really early to go to school, but I would get up half an hour early. I'd have a book under my pillow so that I could read for half an hour before going to school. Anyway, So yeah, so I had an interest, and I was very fascinated from a very young age by. So when I was about 6, my family moved to England. So from I was learning hickory dickory dock, and then suddenly I was faced with being in a school where I had to speak in English. So I had to learn very quickly. But I was always curious about the fact that words in Bengali and English sounded so similar at times, like ma and mom or mata and mother. So I would keep going and harassing my parents and saying, why is this word? And another word I used to hear a lot of Brits say, you know, that bloke over there. And I thought bloke sounds like we say oi lokta, which means that man. So, but apparently there's no connection between those two words. But anyway, my parents got fed up and bought me a dictionary and said, please do your own research. So that's where I got started.
And there's a lot of anglicizing in the origins of Bengali names, like Sumanto Chattopadhyay. The anglicized is Chatterjee.
Yeah.
Chatterjee, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and I've grown up with a lot of people who go either way. So if they're very ethnic, they will insist, you know, Chattopadhyay, properly. Like, you've just shot my whole family. They'll give you that look. Right? Like,
Yeah, so-
when we unleash ourselves on the rest of India as Bengalis,
Yeah.
it's not a pleasant thing.
Correct. No,
Because
so
we-
yes, so my family was one of those. They were quite nationalistic, not in the current sense, but they were like freedom fighters. They were freedom
In the
fighters.
pre-1947 sense.
Yes, they were freedom fighters. They wrote things like the national anthem and all that, not to show off. But yeah, so we were told that if anybody, like when we were sent to school, that if anybody says Chatterjee, to give them that death stare. So yeah, but nevertheless, the interesting thing is, if you're in Bengal, is that regardless of whether you write Chatterjee, Mukherjee, Banerjee, when you get your Calcutta University degree, certificate, whatever, it will come as Chattopadhyay, Bandopadhyay, regardless of whether you write, your passport says Mukherjee, Banerjee, Chatterjee. So it's interchangeable. So what happened was, when I first moved to Bombay, I got a check from somebody in Calcutta, which was to Sumanto Chatterjee. Now in Calcutta, nobody would blink. They would just accept it. But when I gave it to my banker, they said, but this is not in your name. So I had to explain to them that, yeah, this is a version of my name. And I had to write a letter to the bank saying Chatterjee and Chattopadhyay are actually the same surname.
I'm just picturing that, whoever is that Punjabi Maharashtrian bank manager saying, these Bengalis are mad.
Yeah.
They have 9 last names. What?
Yeah.
Then
No,
there are some
absolutely.
Bengalis for whom it's not anglicized enough.
Right.
So they'll take Mukherjee and then make it Mukherjee.
Mukherjee.
Or Mitra becomes Mitter.
Mukherjee.
Or Mook, M-O-O-K-H.
Yeah.
Those people have all left for England.
Yeah, yes.
But fortunately, that's not a problem, because in England, thank God you came back, because they don't speak English there anymore.
Yeah.
So that's not a thing. Can we switch a little to a very different world? You've spent a lot of your life in advertising. You've spent a lot of your life in Ogilvy. How did this help there? First, tell us a little bit about your ad life.
I'm not sure it helped, actually. Because I worked at Ogilvy, like you mentioned. Ogilvy was the Hindi heartland in Bombay. I was this lone English medium Bengali writer in this world where Hindi was the language to speak, and if you came from a small town in UP, then you were the man. But yeah, I somehow survived it all. But so what happened was that, of course, there are times when English is required, right? So for that, everybody, including my boss, all my colleagues came to me for that. So I did. I served some purpose in that agency.
But the audience will like this. We should spend a little bit of time. We're all children of pre-liberalization India. I am.
Yeah.
Younger.
Of course.
A lot of English catchphrases lasted, the complete man from Raymond's, that lasted. Just speaking of advertising phrases.
Yeah.
Obviously, India became more Hindi.
Right.
So, Hamara Bajaj.
Yeah.
Can anyone think of old English catchphrases from ads that still hang around? Is it love? No, it's dove. Correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, Onida lasted.
And
The phrase is gone, the TV is gone also.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's because I worked on that brand. I don't know if it's got something to do with me that the brand disappeared. But it's a bit worrisome. But I also worked on Dove. That line, is it love? No, it's Dove. Actually, because what we did with Dove advertising was we actually got, the soap was given to women, to real women, not models, and they were asked to use it for a week and write a diary, and then we went back to them. So one of the ladies actually said this, that somebody asked her, is it love? And she said, no, it's Dove. So that's where that particular line comes from. But there are a lot of words in the English language that are there thanks to brands and advertising. This should be, I'm not giving out books for this, but can you think of words that were actually brand names that came into Cadbury, Xerox,
Absolutely.
Dalda?
Oh, yeah. But there's one big one that I hadn't thought of that, tell us the big one that we were talking about. If I have a headache, can you get me a...
Oh, an aspirin. Aspirin is a brand name, but worse than that, heroin was also a brand name. And things that we use, we use an escalator, right? That was a brand name. Ping pong, which is another form of table tennis. These are all brand names. Of course, in India, Bisleri is that's a brand I've worked on. It's become a generic word. So it's actually these brands and the owners of these brands spend like crores of rupees trying to fight legal cases to stop people using this in a generic way. But they're actually victims of their own success, and they're not able to do it. Like Bisleri has done all these campaigns, right, saying that when you ask for Bisleri and you get a different brand, those camel ads. But nevertheless, if you go to any small town and you ask for you say ek Bisleri, and you get any random bottle of water.
Yeah.
Colgate also. Colgate.
Give me a Colgate, yeah. Made for each other.
Wills made for
cigarette.
each other.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful, that's a phrase that's, but I think made for each other existed as a phrase, but certainly I would say in India, Wills cigarettes popularized this phrase.
And also a different world, right? Like I remember they used to say filter and tobacco made for each other.
Made for each other, yeah.
Now it doesn't sound that good if you say filter and tobacco made for cancer. Like it doesn't have the same.
The world has changed a little bit.
In the old days, they'd be like, oh, how lovely, filter and tobacco.
By the way, I've worked, being in advertising, one works on a lot of things one doesn't necessarily believe in, unfortunately. So cigarettes, I have worked on cigarette brands, though I don't smoke. So just a confession that I thought I'll make. Yeah.
Another one you told me I had never thought about, sellotape and scotch tape.
Yeah. That sellotape and scotch tape are also brand names. Yeah.
Xerox, yes,
Xerox,
exactly.
bubble wrap. These are all brand names, but post-it notes. Velcro. Post-it notes we should say sticky notes if we don't want to usurp the brand name. But everybody calls it Post-it. And Velcro. I don't think there's any other word for Velcro. Yeah.
I didn't even know it was a brand. Now, we're talking about advertising in India, the transition into modern advertising. We can't avoid Hinglish, right? Paytm Karo, name of brand, Hindi word. Some ones you like? Are there any? Like, I grew up with a very confused sort of thing, thinking thumbs up. I got it wrong. I got it in the wrong order. So I thought it was taste the thunder. Yes, thank you.
Like thanda.
I thought it was because I was so used to Hinglish in advertising.
But that may have been, at the back of the mind of the people who wrote it.
Yeah, so there was like, very clever, it's taste the thunder, but it also means this. So very...
I remember there was one years ago, which was Humko Binnies Mangta. Of course, that's not in English, but yeah.
That's fully... I don't know what Binnies is. Is it a product of some kind?
Yeah, it was
cloth. So sorry, yeah.
You've never heard of Binnies?
I don't wear saris that often anymore. I was just a number of years, and after that, I gave up.
You would look very fetching in one.
I would. Yeah. I would. I wouldn't get the cold shoulder. I would not.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. Any good Hinglish phrases we can think of?
Yeah.
Mostly Hindi. Ye dil mange more.
More is the,
Yeah, just one.
Thanda matlab Coca-Cola.
Thanda matlab Coca. So, just the brand is in English.
No, the brand is in English. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not getting this. I'm not doing well on this.
You know, there
but
must
by
be
the way,
one
I worked
Forever
with
Ka Love. You know, like now you see a lot of...
Ogilvy, the agency that I work for, was very against English. They were like, my bosses were like, either write in Hindi or in English. So that maybe that's why I'm not good with these English
it's
ones.
also not a language. You know, but English became... Bollywood uses it a lot.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
In
Everybody
just mixed
uses
phrases.
Everybody uses it a lot.
Now, we should spend a little time...
Shall I ask? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, we have to talk about the English Nut, the website,
Okay.
the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
What got you started on the English Nut? If you don't follow the English Nut on YouTube, as many of you probably do.
I mean, I hope you guys have at least heard about the English Nut. One person has.
Well, it's because they've come to
Lovely.
see Dr.
Okay,
Tharoor.
Four, 5 people have heard about it. So
They've
okay,
come
this is
here to
great.
learn.
Please, you know, like after you leave, please go on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube and like, subscribe, and follow the English Nut. So yeah, I started that in 2019 for multiple reasons. One is that, like I told you, I was this lone English warrior at Ogilvy where everybody else was speaking Hindi. And I was always correcting everybody's English. I mean, sometimes because they wanted me to, and at times just because I was obnoxious. And so then people said, why don't you do something with this? Why don't you write a blog? So in 2018, I started writing a blog. And then everyone said, this is the era of video. So do a video. Why don't you do a video blog? So then in January 1st, 2019, I said, I'm going to start the English Nut. I started on Facebook and then moved to YouTube and much later to Instagram. And I said, I'm going to try this. I'm going to make one video every week for a year. If at the end of a year it doesn't take off, I'll admit defeat. But luckily at the end of a year, it did sort of take off. I don't have millions of followers, but I do have a decent amount of following. So yeah, but the main thing is that in advertising, you have to work very hard to come up with creative concepts for your clients. And it often involves working weekends, working overnight, and you go on Monday morning after having worked the entire weekend, including the nights, and you present this, you think it's the best idea ever, and they'll say, Maza nahi aaya. So I got so fed up, I said, okay, I'm going to do this channel, which I'm going to be the client. And I don't give a beep about what anybody else thinks. So I'm going to put content on it which I like. And that was another motivation to...
the real irony would be if there was a YouTube comment that said, Maza nahi aaya. You feel like, after all this...
I haven't got that yet, though I have got...
we'll come to... That's what I want to...
negative
I have
comment.
one question about Dr. Tharoor, actually. And we're not making this up. The biggest video there is you and Dr. Tharoor talking about the English language. How did that come about? That obviously went viral.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, and then we'll talk about comments on YouTube.
Yeah, so what happened was that, there's this comedian in the States called Hassan Minhaj. So he, some years ago, I think he'd come to India and he met Shashi Tharoor and he gave Shashi Tharoor a quiz on Gen Z lingo. And Shashi Tharoor failed. Like he couldn't answer a single question. So I just put a post on the English Nut saying that as the English Nut, I'd love to interview you and I promise you that it will be in proper English, not this kind of Gen Z slang. So anyway, so because of that post, somebody saw it and said, hey, let me help make this happen. And then 6 months later, I found myself interviewing Shashi Tharoor. Yeah.
Was he any good with English?
He was all right,
Yeah.
Especially with the bigger words. Some of the smaller words he was struggling with.
Yeah, that tends to happen. Here's the thing, though. We should spend a little bit of time, we agreed, to get into an area neither of us know anything about. Gen Z English language.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
We'll throw it out to them because they know probably more than us. Someone said no cap.
Yeah.
Does anyone know what that means? It's not, I guess it doesn't mean don't wear a cap. There's no books for this, by the way.
Yeah.
This is just you guys telling us how young you are.
It means no lies.
Oh,
Right.
don't
Not
lie.
lying.
Yeah.
No cap, don't lie to me. No
Yeah.
cap.
Yeah. That's perfect. And in fact, I have to admit that I was not at all familiar with Gen Z lingo till fairly recently because I had people asking me, why don't you do something with Gen Z? And the other thing when you have a social media thing like this is that whatever you do, some people will love it and others will hate it. So I actually did like a couple of videos on Gen Z lingo, and the older people who follow me said this one we'll sit out, or this is one lingo that we'd rather never learn. This is not English, and this will disappear. So then I followed those videos up with another video, which was about slang over the centuries, just to prove to them that words which are part of formal English today. I mean, the word job was comes from jobbery, which is from a couple of 100 years ago, which jobbery was like some shady kind of job that you might do. Or take the word fake. I mean, it's used in formal English today, but it's slang. The word leak, which was used, a ship leaked. But today, you talk about data leaks, for example.
But what was the longer version of leak? Or were there?
There was no longer version. It's just that these words, I mean, just like some people, when they give a cold shoulder to people who speak Gen Z.
Yeah.
So when these words came about, the people at that time,
these will be words.
English nuts of those days would say rubbish.
Yeah.
But then if they sort of got on a time machine and came to today, they would be shocked to find that, in courts of law and in formal documents, these words are actually used. And
one of my favorites is sometimes I watch on YouTube proceedings of high courts and Supreme Courts in India.
Yes, you mentioned
and
this.
there'll be one of my favorites is this advocate who said, "Hereafter, my lord, whereforsoever, henceforth, insofar as," and the judge said, "Speak in English." It's just brilliant how that. One more I'm going to ask you. Okay. Apparently, these people will know cringe. Like a young person says cringe.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah, so, I mean, cringe was an existing word. It's just that it was used as a verb. You cringed at something, but now you say that's cringe.
Yeah, it's noun.
Yeah.
And apparently, like if you're in an awkward situation, like your parents are telling you to do something you don't want to do, you just say it out loud. You say cringe.
Okay.
Now, our generation didn't have a word.
Yeah.
We would
have got slapped and sent to the corner if we said it.
And it was just an awkward situation.
Yeah.
It resulted in you leaving home forever.
Right.
And going to America dealing with it. Yes. But this generation just say it. They just say cringe and they leave.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
And because the parents don't understand what they're saying, they just let it pass. Yeah.
They're just words.
Yeah.
I have to ask you this. Now you've, like the world of comedians and the world of politicians, you have decided to put your work up on YouTube and social media.
Right.
So there are lots of comments that you get. We were talking about this. The first thing we must address is both of us work in the English language.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Which is a very niche language in India.
Apparently.
And I mean, it's not in NCP
Yeah.
and its surrounding areas, but this is a
Thank
nation.
God for the Parsis. Yeah.
This is a country in itself.
Yeah.
When you go to the rest of the country,
Yeah.
I get a lot of comments saying this is niche, this is the language of the privileged. You are going into words, English words. Now, some would argue just curiosity is interesting in and of itself.
Yeah.
But do you get a lot of that saying?
Yeah, not a lot, but I do get. And a lot of things. One is that people say, why don't you do something in Hindi? So I said, there are lots of people out there doing things in Hindi. Let me do mine in English, please.
Yeah.
So that's one. And but I get corrected also. Like, for example, I did this video where I mentioned the word Ayurveda. Because in English, you usually say So I had these people saying, please say Indian words properly. It's Ayurved. So I responded back saying, actually, I'm Bengali and I would say Ayurved. Are you okay with that? So then there was no response from that person. So, yeah. So I do get, and of course, what is this elitist and who do you think you are kind of a thing. And, I tell them that more people speak English in India than in the United Kingdom, right? The English-speaking population of India is bigger than the population of the UK. So India is only second behind the US in terms of English speakers. So while as a percentage it may be relatively small, but there are many, and the other thing is that all the people who generally talk about, English is elitist and you should be ashamed of yourself for speaking, have you all heard this comment from somebody saying that people who speak in English will be ashamed of themselves? So I think he was talking about his son, actually, because his son, unfortunately, didn't go to an English medium school, but most of the politicians who talk about, Hindi first and Marathi first and no English, all their children go to English medium schools, the fancy ones, they're like Bombay Scottish and places like that. So I'm not at all saying that, English should be the language that supplants all other languages in India, but we have 22 official languages. So I think that it's fine for English also to be an official language. I'm saying that you want to enforce Hindi as as the language. But for a South Indian or even for a Bengali, we're not that familiar with Hindi. So yeah,
And it'd be very hard for India to be the back office of the world.
yeah, no, and exactly, I'm saying that why not, if you're talking about a link language for India, why not English? Because it would also serve as your link language to the world. And if all the people who don't know English, the people who can't afford to send their children to English medium schools are dying for their kids to learn the language because they know that it's a way forward for them in the world. So I think it's a political thing. It's just politicizing a language, like everything else is politicized. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you should know more languages than less,
Yes,
One of
yes.
the nicest insults I ever got was all my stand-up clips are English. And the last show I did at NCPA, I put it up on YouTube, and recently someone wrote, "Go back to South Bombay."
And here you are.
So I don't know where they're banishing me to.
But I must tell you something. I've been trying to catch up with him for the last 2 days because I said we need to discuss what we are going to talk about. And we were finding, and he kept saying, and he lives in Bandra. And so he kept saying, let's meet tomorrow in Colaba. So I thought, okay, tomorrow at lunch. So I thought he's in there. Then I said, can we meet this evening, maybe in Bandra? And he said, actually, I'm in Colaba. So I was very puzzled.
Yeah.
But now I realized that, he was told, he really took that comment
I'm
seriously. Go back to South Bombay. Or
Not
go
allowed in Andheri.
Yeah, not allowed in the suburbs.
Geography by language.
Yeah.
We must talk about this just for one little bit because we've covered YouTube, we've covered advertising. We have to cover limericks
Ah, yes.
because limericks are in your book.
Yes, one of the chapters in this book is on limericks, and it's a really fun chapter.
Can you read us a little bit of the limerick bit? Because that's one of my favorite books in the book.
So first of all, do you know where the word limerick comes from? Lord Limerick? I've never heard of. But I may be wrong, but as far as I know... Good Lord, yes. No, yes, it's a place where... Ireland, not France, Ireland. It's a county in Ireland, and so it's called County Limerick, and limericks were very popular there as... limericks have been very popular over the decades, if not centuries, as drinking songs. So people in pubs would get a little tipsy and then they would, I don't know how they remembered these limericks, but they would. So there's a famous set of limericks which was a repartee between like a pub owner and customers. So let me read. So one of them, so there was a pub in a town called Croom in Limerick County, where the pub owner's name was Otwama, and he had a customer whose name was Andy McCrath. So what happened was, you can just imagine this rowdy pub, and everybody... I need my glasses for this, if I can find them. So you have everybody... Sorry, let me... sort of singing these rowdy and bawdy songs, and the pub owner suddenly comes, sort of tells everybody to be silent, and he says, he starts reciting, or rather singing. They used to sing limericks, so he sings this limerick. I sell the best brandy and sherry to make all my customers merry, but at times their finances run short as it chances, and then I feel very sad, very. And everybody laughs, except there's this one guy who's looking a little annoyed, and this Otwama also looks in his direction while singing. So after a while, that guy comes to the front, and he gives his rejoinder. This is Andy McCrath. So he says, Otwama, you boast yourself handy, at selling good ale and bright brandy. But the fact is, your liquor makes everyone sicker. I tell you this, I, your friend Andy. So, and then and everybody there probably owes money to the pub owner because, they pay whatever, they clear their dues when occasionally they have money. So people don't know whether to laugh at that point because, if they laugh at Andy's rejoinder, then the pub owner is not going to be happy. So yeah, so that was one of them. And, we were talking about the fact that Edward Lear, there's a man called Edward Lear, who's considered the father of the limerick. Though he didn't start limericks, he popularized them. So, in fact, he made them so popular, this is, I think, in the 1800s, that limericks started being called lyrics because his surname was Lear. So it sounded a little bit like lyrics. So he wrote these limericks, like one of them was, there was a young lady whose chin resembled the point of a pin. So she had it made sharp, and she purchased a harp and played several tunes with her chin. So this is one of the limericks that Edward Lear wrote. And, as you can see, it's hilarious nonsense, and it's no wonder then that does anyone know the name of his famous book? Exactly. My God, I'm not going to give you another book. But that's the correct answer. Okay. Wow. So this is like really an antique piece. So yeah, so he wrote that and he wrote many others. Another one that he wrote was, a lot of limericks start with there was a man or there was a young lady. So there was an old man with a beard who said, "It is just as I feared. 2 owls and a hen, 4 larks and a wren have all made their nests in my beard." So he must have had a really voluminous beard. So then there's another one of his which I really like, which is, there was a young lady of Niger who smiled as she rode on a tiger. They returned from the ride with the lady inside and the smile on the face of the tiger. So yeah, but there was a young lady, and this is there. I don't know if any of you know these body limericks. Oh no.
I'll give you one from Edward Lear's book.
Well, you're going to give us a bawdy poem from Edward.
A naughty poem.
Well, 1 second. It's only 7 p.m., sir. NCPA does have some bad language rules. So if you're going to start with, there was a man from Madras.
There was a man from the interior whose morals were very inferior. He did to a nun what he shouldn't have done, and now she's Mother Superior.
This is precisely what we wanted to avoid. We're not avoiding it today because our worry was we'd start with limericks and then be far bawdier ones. Sir, you look very distinguished. So we're expecting a very dirty one from you.
I'll give you a double dose on this one.
Okay.
During the wartime, people used to, recite limericks. So there was this group, and they had a reunion. There's a Canadian coming into the UK. And they were talking about, you remember we used to say these limericks. Have you heard a good one? So he says, there was this man called Skinner who took his girlfriend out to dinner. They dined at 8:45. By 9, it was Inner, the dinner, not Skinner. Skinner, the sinner, was Inner before dinner. And they said this was the cat's whiskers. That's another expression. But it was so good, he said he'd take that back with him to his friends. And when he got back, by then he was a little fuzzy-eyed. And he said, and they asked him, did you hear any good ones? So he said, oh yeah. He said, yeah. There was this man called Tupper who took his girlfriend out to supper. They dined at 9:15. By 9, it was up. Not Tupper, not the supper, but some bastard named Skinner.
No wonder some of these limericks have been cancelled.
Thank you for that.
Thank God dating is not like that anymore. It is true, though, that the town of Limerick, recently I read that the citizens of Limerick are extremely annoyed because it's a town that's just trying to live its life.
Yeah.
It's got 30,000 people, gets a lot of visitors, a lot of Airbnbs, and people show up in Limerick.
And they say, where are the limericks?
No, they start. So if you run So if you run an Airbnb Limerick, someone will show up and say, "There was a man from Brazil." Just shut up. Just talk normally. We're a normal town, you know. So it's been rough on the town. Now there's one I want to ask you. By the way, for full disclosure, we have done this session a couple of times before, once before in Calcutta.
Yeah.
And there was one that came up a lot, and it's a one I love, and I love the way you talk about the history of it. Mad as a Hatter.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
So
not
where
a
does
limerick.
that come from? Of course.
No, actually it doesn't.
Like, haha.
That's the point. So of course, the Mad Hatter's Tea Party. So Mad Hatter was a character, but the term Mad as a Hatter does not actually come from Alice in Wonderland. Mercury. Yes. Yeah. It's from, because when the traditional process of making hats, you have to soak it in mercury. So that affected the nerves of the hat makers. So they developed tremors, and they actually would lose their minds to a certain extent. So that's how Mad as a Hatter came to be. You want a book?
We'll do more books at the end. We'll do. But thank you for just. We'll do a whole thing at the end. We'll do a few more words.
Okay.
I want one more word from you. Assassin. I love that word.
I think everybody knows all the answers.
Do they? Sorry, so people know things, but like all things, it's sporadic and chaotic. Sorry, can we let that gentleman's thing and then we come back to this gentleman?
So there was a cadre of killers called the Hassans, and then the whole thing that they used to have hashish to sort of reach that mind space where they would kind of, be able to do all those things.
Yeah.
And that's where that originally came from. I think Syria or somewhere.
Yes, Alamut.
Alamut.
Yeah, and they were called Hashin.
Hash-
But it's also theorized that this thing that they took hashish was probably just their detractors, because they were so good at what they did. I mean, they were not an army. There was individual people who infiltrated, into the enemy camp, and then they assassinated somebody. So they were like very sophisticated. And I really doubt that you would smoke hashish before you carried out a delicate operation like that, which is what they were accused of doing. But also probably because they were the followers of this, their leader was called Hassan. And so probably this assassin comes from that. It's derived from that word.
So two more things. One more for you, and then we'll do a Q&A, and then we'll end with more quizzes. The one for you, the thing we were chatting about, algebra.
Okay, does
History
anybody
of-
know where the word algebra comes from? Oh my God, here people know everything.
Yeah.
It's an
So
Arabic
the reason
word.
I'm holding on for the
No,
audience.
but, okay, Arabic word, al-jabr, and no. I'll tell you the whole thing. Anything further? Al-jabr. Okay, my question is, it actually comes from the title of a book. Can anybody tell me the title?
Well, we have a disagreement because that gentleman says it was definitely an individual.
Okay, so let me tell you at least what I know, what I believe to be the truth. So there was a guy, I'll tell you so there was the author of this book was Al-Khwarizmi. He was Muhammad ibn Musa Al-Khwarizmi. He was a Persian scholar, and he wrote this book. And there is a word that is derived from his name, Al-Khwarizmi. Can anyone tell me what that word is? It's algorithm. The word algorithm comes from his surname, Al-Khwarizmi. But he wrote this book called, hold on to your seats. It's called Kitab al-Mukhtasar fi Hisab al-Jabr wal-Muqabla, which means the compendious book of calculation by balancing and completion. So this book, and of course he was using the Hindu numeral system. All the certain people here will be very happy to hear that. So this was translated into Latin, and it was the main text of mathematics in Europe for centuries. And that's that algebra. I think they couldn't, they couldn't obviously, like most of us, get the whole title of the book. So they just used the word algebra, which became algebra. Yeah.
Thank God for that. Otherwise, if it was called Mukabla,
Yeah.
we'd be
Like,
learning
there's
very
that
different,
song,
yeah,
like, so-
very different mathematics.
Yeah.
Right. I'm getting a thing that says we have to open up for Q&A.
Okay.
And then because ours is sort of a fun format, we'll do like very few questions, and then we'll go back to the last. How many books do we have to give away? 3 books?
I have 3 books.
We have 3. I'm happy to give away mine as well.
Again, once again.
I love it. People have been taking these away from me. Is there I don't know if there's a phrase for that.
It's good.
Any
So
questions?
people really want my book as long as it's for free. That's what I've understood. Yeah.
You've just summed up all artistic practice. It's better than what these people think that we are Malayali politicians. It's even worse. Are there any questions for Sumanto? Sorry, if we could pass the mic around.
I may not be able to answer, just telling you.
That's fine.
If you ask me the date or when such word was
No,
invented.
I was wondering what is the etymology of Ogilvy?
Oh, that's
Someone's
pretty
name, isn't it?
simple, actually.
it?
So the founder of the agency was David Ogilvy. So it's his surname.
Okay, thank you.
That was a simple one.
That etymology.
Do I
his
get
parents?
Do I get a book?
You get a book.
Yeah. Okay.
Have you written a book? If you've got a book, you can give it to him.
Yeah.
Sorry, we got some questions here.
Sumanto, I wanted to ask you, a little while ago when you were asked about whether English, you spoke about how English language needs to be accepted and how some people want to homogenize Hindi and force it down everybody's throats. Now, we were at a session just before this where
with the Chief Justice.
With the Chief Justice, who has insisted that we need to find ways of if China can turn all its law books into Chinese, Mandarin rather. So, but he used the word Chinese there. But I'm saying here, do you think this whole thing of suddenly everybody's wanting to pounce on anything English and say, and including a certain Chief Justice. So, what do you make of that?
So as I said, it's just politics as far as I'm concerned. By the way, I just must let you all know that when my book was being edited by the editor at Rupa, suddenly I get a note saying, I talked about the Indian Penal Code. So she said, I'm changing this to Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. So I said, is that like a diktat? Do I have to do it? She said, no, I said, no, I don't want to. So unless you're forcing me to, I'm not going to change it. So I was very happy that it stayed as Indian Penal Code.
Were you worried about the pun on penal?
Well, maybe not. But yeah, I mean, I just think it's ridiculous to shove changes like this down. And it doesn't serve any purpose. It's not benefiting anybody. It's like changing names of cities and streets. Instead of doing real development, you're doing something, you're distracting from that. So anyway, this is not about politics.
No.
So
and also, we don't have to worry about a channel called the Hindi Nut.
The Hindi
because we already have all the news channels. So
yes.
we don't need a separate thing called the Hindi.
Yes.
Sorry,
Yeah.
we have some more questions. We have.
He's determined to get the book, I think.
Yeah. So my question is, when you're studying origins of words and phrases, how do you reach what is actually historically accurate? Like, there might be so many opinions.
Yes.
So which one would you say is historically accurate?
So actually, that's a really good question, and it's a difficult one to answer because there's no when your etymology is not an exact science, because what happens is that all the time new fact, like from the time that I started writing the book to when it got published, some of the theories have changed, because what's happening is that a lot of old books are being digitized. So people are getting access to a lot of stuff which they didn't have access to. Like probably I would have had to go to a library somewhere in Oxford or Cambridge to, or maybe somewhere in the US to access. But just a lot of books were lost and they're being digitized bit by bit. Like there's the Gutenberg project. There are many sites on... so what's happening is that people are discovering an earlier use of a word or a phrase. So suddenly then the date of its first use is changing. So even because I was consulting the works of various etymologists, and they had different opinions. So when I found that, I would kind of mention all of them and say this is the one that I believe is correct. But yeah, it sometimes it completely changes. But it's very interesting how these people go about finding the origins of a word or phrase, and it's really fascinating because you're traveling. These words travel. There are so many words. Of course, we know that in the modern era there are many English words that have come from India, right? Can you name? Huh? Cot, pajama,
So many.
yes.
Hullabaloo, endless.
Shampoo, guru, karma.
All Hobson Jobson, everything in Hobson Jobson.
But also, things like the word orange actually went from India, from Naranga, probably from a South language, Naranga, and then it traveled. Even the word lemon, there's a theory that, I don't think I'll pronounce it correctly, but there's a Tamil word which is Elemichai Param, which means rat leftover fruit, because the lemon is the only fruit rats won't eat because it's so sour. So that, and somehow that became a lemon,
It's accurate.
Yeah.
Right, so we've got 5 minutes left, and I think we should give away a couple of books for the best answer, because this has been the most interactive session. This is the best session to moderate, where the audience has done most of the work. Shall we do In the Limelight? That's an easy one. In the Limelight? Does anyone know where In the Limelight comes from?
That gentleman has read every book on etymology.
Yes. Yes, of course. Of course. Old Victorian theatres were all lit by.
In the old theatres, where they would where the plays were, shown to people, is where they use the limelight. So they used to use lime and water as a combination to really.
But what kind of lime are we talking about here?
So we are calcium hydroxide. Yeah.
So it was heated actually to a very high temperature till it glowed. That's the correct, accurate answer.
So are you leaning towards giving either of these good gentlemen a
He's
book?
already got a book.
Right.
Yeah. No, so let's ask a few questions, and I want to give him a book actually.
Yes.
He's
just for being himself.
Answered so many questions and also asked me a very good question. So yeah. So any others?
Of course.
We were talking about
throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Could be WhatsApp University.
Doesn't matter. It's a good university.
Yeah. So in the olden days, there were these whole families who used to have a bath with, a tub of water. And the pecking order was that the head of the family used to have it. And by the time they came to the kids, they were right at the end. The water got so dirty that sometimes you didn't realize that there was a child inside. And therefore, you had to be careful, saying don't throw the baby out with the bath water.
Do you really think that the people were so insane at that time that they would, bathe their child in such filthy water and then they would lose the baby in it?
Look, if they
this is WhatsApp. So this is that same, I think that famous Life in the 1500s email forward, which made up many of these very entertaining stories. So this is one of them, but that's not really. Actually, there is no very exciting origin story to this. It's just that it was. It comes from German, and the Germans had some kind of an idiom like this to express the meaning that just because there's something wrong in something, don't throw the entire thing out. But why baby with the bathwater actually is not.
Look, it's just good.
But it comes from German, and we know that Germans can be quite strange.
Yes.
So maybe that has something to do with it.
And also, it's good practice. Don't throw the baby Out with the, it's just because you're taking the laundry out.
Literal-
Don't throw your
literally
firstborn.
or figuratively,
Yeah.
don't throw the baby out with the bath water, and don't bathe him last after everybody in the family has bathed in that water.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I'll ask one. White elephant.
White elephant's a good one. We've got 2 minutes, so someone needs to get this book.
White elephant.
White elephant, ma'am?
Let's hope at least this one's right. So there was this, I think this was in Thailand, where the king, if he was displeased with somebody, he used to gift him a white elephant because the elephants were incredibly expensive to maintain. And therefore, it seemed like a gift, but it's actually a punishment of sorts.
So you've got, all the wrong theories. So
we forgot to tell you that this is also an insult session.
No, but this is in my book because I mentioned this as being one of the prevalent theories. But the fact is that a white elephant was too valuable. It was considered, and so nobody in their right mind would give this valuable elephant just as a punitive measure. But this was a theory, so maybe we will give you a book. But the actual thing is that, where it comes from is that, yes, white elephants were considered very, very valuable in Burma and Thailand. In fact, a king of Burma and king of Thailand went to war because the Burmese king wanted a particular white elephant that the king of Siam had, and he refused to give it. So they went to war over it. And actually, there was these English writers who wrote about this, and they said that, victory and honor are white elephants. And that's actually the first time figuratively it was used in that context. But, there was this P.T. Barnum who founded this Barnum and Bailey circus in the US, and he had heard about these exotic white elephants in Burma, so he imported one of them it was called Tung Talung, which means gem of the sky or something like that. He imported it, and he was really disappointed because, the white elephants aren't really white. So they are like usually of a pink. They're albino elephants. They have a pinkish color, but this particular, it's quite interesting because, one of the words for elephant is pachyderm, which some people mispronounce as pachyderm. But this was really a pachyderm because it had pink and gray patches all over it. So he was very disappointed, and it was like a big white elephant for him, because he was expecting this pure white elephant which would get him lots of customers to his circus, which didn't happen. So that's how white elephant came in. And the other interesting thing was that in the US, they used to have something called a white elephant exchange party. You've heard of this guy, Ezra Cornell. He's the founder of Cornell University and of Western Union, which is this communications company in the US. So he's popularized this game where basically, I don't know, in India also we get these people who get married, who get these 51-piece storage sets or, melamine dinnerware, and they get 20 of them. So basically this party was that you get a useless gift, and everybody brings their useless gift, and then you kind of like, whatever, I don't know the procedure, but basically you get somebody else's useless gift. So the fun is in the playing Tupperware, but maybe that's useful to you because you didn't have a 51 set Tupperware set, 51 piece. So yeah, so that's where white elephant comes from.
Very last one. Apropos, we have to end with this. Cat got your tongue.
Oh yeah, we forgot that was a title.
Yeah.
So the Egyptians, when in the olden days, would cut off the tongues of liars and feed them to the cat, is what I've heard. And then that is, so if someone's lost their... Yeah.
That indeed is one of the theories.
Yes. Yeah. It should be brought back.
Also, and also I think it was about... I think the origin was care about the, the worrying that the cat does, and therefore doesn't think or something like that, I think.
No, so
but
the first part that you said is one of the theories, though it's not considered to be the most likely, but it is definitely one because cats had divine status in Egypt, and so if anybody displeased the rulers, their tongues were cut off and fed to these cats. I don't know, like maybe the cats loved eating tongues. But there's another theory which is that in England in the Middle Ages, people were very scared of witches, and witches had these black cats, and the theory is that if you observed what the witches were doing, which they didn't want anybody to see them casting spells or all that. If you did that and their black cat saw you doing it, the black cat would take away your tongue, and that's why cat. But that's also not the most believable theory. Is actually got nothing to do with a cat, as in the animal, but the cat o' nine tails. Do you know what that is? The gentleman with the book of nonsense which crumbles. No. So cat o' nine tails is a whip, a cat of nine tails. It's called that because it has nine strands which can be made of leather with metal barbs at the end. So it's horrific. It was used in the British Navy to flog sailors. And when they would be flogged, they would either pass out or die. So the cat would literally get their tongue. And I believe that it's called a cat because their backs would be lacerated. So it was almost like it had been very badly scratched by a cat. So it's quite gruesome actually, but that is supposed to be the most likely explanation for this word.
On that pleasant note, look, we're over time, and I think you've learnt a valuable lesson, madam. It's very hard to get a book out of a Bengali intellectual.
No.
But I think he'll still be kind enough.
Yes. So,
who deserves the 2 books?
Yes, he deserves one. Were there any other people who believe that they are contenders for the book?
I think that lady definitely,
lady,
yes.
And anyone else? No, that was not good enough.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are you giving books away for wrong answers as well? It's a good question. Yeah. The truth is very malleable. It's 2025. It's just called content now. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be true.
But we did give you a book, sir, right? No, I don't want any. But you got, you don't want any.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have to wind up.
The wrong theory is lady.
Okay,
shall we give it to her? I also wanted to give one to the gentleman with the limerick.
It's a cruel world. You have to decide.
He said he doesn't want my book.
No.
So
Also, he's gone on 2 very good dates, so it's fine. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been fantastic. This has been Words with Stories. Please pick up Sumanto's book. It's a wonderful, wonderful read. And the great thing is, you'll feel cleverer at the end of it, which all of us like to do. Last words, Sumanto?
Yeah, so I think you had mentioned once before that if nothing else, you're at a dinner party and you've read my book, you can be the most, have the wittiest stories in the room. So that's a good reason.
And you can steal the thunder, which is also in the book.
Yeah.
Look, you'll be signing books, right? You'll be signing...
I believe that there's a book signing. There is. Yes. Would you be able to tell us what that's about? Yeah, where,
all right.
what?
So you can get Sumanto's book at the Sunken Garden. He'll be heading there right now. And if you didn't win a book, you can get a signed copy.
Which you have to buy.
Money.
But just to clarify.
Also, just because we've mentioned him so many times, Dr. Tharoor will also be doing a book signing right now at the Open Air Plaza. Thank you very much, gentlemen. That was a highly entertaining session. I didn't mean to give you any competition. It's my duty to let people make a choice.
So now all the people who came here because they couldn't get into session can run and get to sign the book.
And the thing is, get him to sign this.
Please, for my sake. Yeah.
Thank you all very, very much.